What's up, lovely peoples of the internet? My name is Julie and welcome back to the Curate Curvy. Before we begin, you can hear it in my voice, I'm a wee bit under the weather, but at this point I've been battling this cold on and off for about 3 weeks, and if I wait for it to completely go away, I probably won't make a video until sometime at the end of January. So we're just gonna power through. All right, so I have some really yummy fabrics that I want to cut into and get to doing some winter sewing while it is still very cold and very cozy. And so before I cut into these fabrics, I wanted to share with you all what I plan on making. So without further ado, let's get into the sewing plans. Also, quick disclaimer, usually on the rack is all the things that I've made recently. However, right now this rack is acting as an impromptu coat rack. I don't have a lot, but I have quite a few, and they're pretty big and they're pretty heavy, and it was weighing down the bar in my closet. So everything on the rack is not made by me today, if you were wondering. Probably not, but your girl wants to be honest, okay? Now, let's get into it. Okay, so the first pattern that I want to sew is Simplicity 9854. Now, I've already made the Know Me, gosh, I want to say it's 2016, but it's not. But the Know Me coat by Butte J'adore, the original one, the first one that she came out with, which is here, and this is gorgeous, like patchwork wool polyester blend. And I absolutely adore this coat, and I do get a lot of use out of it. And so I was thinking of making another one. And as I began to like continue to think, okay, well, what would the coat look like? And then do I need another one? Because if I make another one, it's also going to be in a really loud and busy print. And what I realized was I want to make another one because this coat needs to be fixed. So I wasn't planning on showing you this, but let's see if you can see. So inside of the coat, I don't know if it's coming up, but the lining is tearing. This lining fabric is awful. Like, I knew going into it that I probably should have serged it, and I didn't, because I was like, oh, it's lined, it's fine, but it's literally shredding apart. And so what's happening is I'm not pulling for this coat as much as I would like to, and so I think subconsciously I was like, oh, I'll just make another one and I'll keep wearing that. But no, what I need to do is take the time to remove this lining and replace it, because I really do like this coat, and then I'll make a different coat from a different pattern. It's not a full length coat, which I usually tend to go for, but I have one thrifted coat that is not quite this length, but a little bit shorter, and I really like that length of a coat. I tend to want my hemlines to meet up, but lately, in effort to play with proportion and style, I've been toying around with the idea of my hemlines not meeting up. So I really, really love this coat. It looks like it's not too complicated to make, and it's an American Sewing Guild pattern, which leads me to think that it is a better constructed pattern. And the instructions will probably be really easy, or not really easy, but really, what is the word I'm looking for? Just like really clear, like really good instructions. And so I want to make this coat up. Now I am thinking of doing the only view that the pattern comes with, apparently, because there's just one view, and I don't need to hold it up to the camera because I'm going to put it up on the screen for you. I'm rusty, guys, bear with me. But I want to do this coat, and I have this gorgeous purple plaid fabric right here for it. So this is the fabric that I want to use. It is, again, a wool polyester blend, and I got this fabric from Hobby Lobby. I bought it when it was on sale, so I think I paid maybe like $10 a yard for it, which in my opinion is a very, very great price, but I'm obsessed with the color. I like my coats to be a little bit funky. I know that a lot of people like neutrals for their coats so that the outfit underneath can be funky, but if it's really cold outside to the point where I need to put on a coat, which means that I'm going to be outside for a prolonged amount of time, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to see what's underneath that coat. Like, if I'm going to like a sit down restaurant with like my husband or my family, I'm not interested in putting on a giant coat to walk from the car to the restaurant just to take the coat off. I'll just do a sweater or something cute like that. So when I make a coat, I want the coat to be very showy and very loud, and so this is the fabric that I am going with. Absolutely love this fabric. I originally bought 2 yards, and then I realized that I didn't have enough, so I went back and I bought another cut of also 2 yards, and what I'm hoping is that when all is said and done, I'll have enough for a mini skirt. More on that later. And then I got this like charmeuse fabric also from Hobby Lobby for the lining. This stuff feels horrible, but I'm telling myself that it's just a lining. I mean, it doesn't feel horrible, but like compared to like my other silks or charmeuses that I get from like my local fabric stores, this doesn't feel that great, but it's a lining, so it doesn't need to feel that great. It just needs to be slippery so I can slip my arms in and pull them out. So this is the lining, and this is the the outer shell fabric, and that is the first project that I plan, or not the first project, but that's one of the projects I plan on working on this winter. For a while I have really been wanting a satin skirt, and it's one of those things that I will kind of like, okay, look for a pattern, look for the fabric, and then push it to the back of my mind. And I don't know why it is. I think the technique of it all is kind of like freaking me out, because you are sewing on the bias, and I've seen people sew on the bias before where it's gone either really smoothly or it hasn't gotten very smooth at all. And so that gives me a bit of apprehension, but it is something that I have been wanting to add to my wardrobe for quite a while. I feel like it's more of an elevated piece, and this year I also want to lean into a bit more sophistication. I just turned 34 in December, and one of the things people always say to me is like, oh my gosh, you look so cute. And while that's not a bad thing, I feel like cute is a word that is reserved for people a bit younger than I am. So I want to get more into the like sophisticated looks and still figure out how to pair that with my quirkiness and my love for color in a way that just makes me look a bit more elevated. So I went and I picked up this gorgeous silk fabric. It's like a really light lavender. It's not like shiny like a charmeuse. It's kind of weighty. It's not thick, but it has a bit of body to it, which I feel like would suit me well. I got 2.5 yards of this from, I think they're called DFW Fabrics in Dallas, Texas. And with this, I plan on sewing the Sati slip skirt by Viki Sews Patterns. This skirt is a skirt that I looked at before, and I don't know what I was thinking the last time I looked at it, but I, for whatever reason in my mind, registered as it not coming in my size, which it does come in my size. So I don't know if they went back and they added sizes to it, or it's always come in my size and that just kind of glossed over me. But when I was looking again for a slip skirt pattern, I picked up one from the Big Four, and then I saw on their website that they had that skirt, and I realized it was in my size. Personally, I prefer if it's the style and it's like side by side, like the same type of style, two different pattern companies. I usually would tend to go with Viki Sews just because I feel like their instructions are more detailed. That's the word I'm looking for. Their instructions are more detailed, and I feel like at the end of it, I've learned something, and the garment that I have is just better constructed. So I purchased that, and I plan on using this fabric to go along with that. Nextly, we all know about Killing Eve. If you don't, it's a vibe. Go ahead and check it out. Seasons 1 through 2, I feel like her outfits were absolutely like phenomenal. I feel like towards the end they got really experimental with her clothes. Like someone caught on to the hype that we were all checking out what she was wearing, and I feel like it just went in a different direction. That's not the case. I think it was the last season, Caroline, one of the characters came, she was in like witness protection or something, and she came out in this gorgeous t-shirt dress. It was long, it had long sleeves, like very fitted sleeves, but it flared out into like the fullest skirt. However, there were no gathers in it. It was just such a stunning dress, and I looked up the dress. I found the dress. It is made by a company called Eve Inspo, and she specializes in shirt dresses. I absolutely love this dress. It is the Juliet dress. I have stocked it. I have looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. And I mean, I'm not at the point in life where I can just drop that much money on a single piece of clothing, which is fine because I sew. So I've been thinking of making the dress myself. So I looked into that, and the pattern cutting on the dress is very intricate. The way that the fullness comes into the skirt is basically how the dress is cut. So she has her front bodice, and then it's cut on a curve, and that curve flares out into what would be like a half circle skirt in the front, but the back is cut on the straight of grain. So it does an interesting thing with like lines, and it's a beautiful dress. Anyways, I don't think I'll be able to make that dress exactly, but I want something in the essence of that dress. So when I saw McCall's 8342 view, that guy, focus, yes, that guy right there, I figured this would be the perfect dress to kind of like test that out. Now I am going to make some changes to it. One of the things that I already like about the dress, I like the princess seams because I feel like that suits me better. I like the straight fitted sleeve. I like the little cuff on the sleeve. I don't like the length of the skirt. I want the skirt to be a full-on maxi skirt, so I'm going to extend the length of the skirt. And the top of the skirt has gathers, which I toyed around with like redrafting that part of the skirt, but ultimately what I decided was that I'm going to leave the gathers, but the skirt isn't full enough. So if you look at the skirt on, focus, there we go. If you look at the skirt on the fit model, there's a little bit of gathers, but there's not a lot of volume in the bottom of the skirt. And to get closer to the idea of this dress, the bottom of the skirt needs to be voluminous. So I plan on slashing and spreading the bottom of the skirt and increasing the gathers on the top of the skirt. I'm also going to take a little bit of width off, or a little bit of length off of the bodice. And hopefully at the end of that, I'll have something reminiscent of the Evie Grantilla dress. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So this is the pattern that I plan on using. And again, this is McCall's 8342. Let me show you the fabric. So recently I was at Warehouse Dallas, and they have these remnant bins where everything in the bin is $3 a yard. It's usually like sample cuts that come in, or things that they found in storage that were never put on the floor. So I was recently there and I saw this fabric. This fabric makes me think of the brand Goyard. So that's initially why I got it. Like, right now, that's just a really popular luxury brand. I think one of the big appeals to them, or that people love, is that they don't have an online boutique, and that they only have a few select store locations. So you have to go in and make a purchase and do all of this like very exclusive stuff to get their bag. And you know, people love exclusivity these days. When I saw this, it did, however, make me think of that. And initially I thought, okay, I want to turn this into a tote bag, and I want to wax the fabric to give it like that waxy, shiny, like material print that you get with like the Goyard or like the Louis Vuitton Never Full canvas bag. But this is a t-shirt fabric, and so I don't know that it would hold up that well to be like waxed and turned into a tote. But I still picked it up, and they had 2 cuts of it, so I got both. Each of these cuts is 3 yards, so in total I have 6 yards, which is more than enough to make all of the adjustments that I want to make to that pattern and be able to get it out of this fabric. I think it'll probably end up using just about all of this fabric, and hopefully I have a little bit left to make some sort of handbag or some sort of purse. There's another purse by a designer whose name is escaping me, but he likes to play with like parachute cords and like the little metal lock clasp and things like that to accessorize the purse and whatnot. And I would love to use whatever's left of this to try and recreate something like that, so we'll see. But the main use of this fabric is going to be for the dress, and then if I have anything else left over, I'll attempt to do something reminiscent again of the bag. All right, next, this is a pattern that has been haunting me forever. I have wanted to make this pattern from the moment I saw it, but I tend to be quite impulsive and I want instant gratification. And I feel like, excuse me, fix this. I feel like my desire for instant gratification doesn't allow me to like stretch and pursue like more like depth in terms of my creativity. And so I really want to kind of draw back from that. Anyways, I wanted this pattern from the moment I saw it. This is McCall's 8014. I don't know if it's still in print. It's a Palmer plush pattern, and view A is the perfect button down for me. It's sort of fitted, it's cropped, it's gorgeous. And like I said, I have consistently shied away from making the pattern because I just feel like it could challenge me in a way that maybe I wasn't comfortable with being challenged. But I'm not trying to say like this year I'm putting that aside, but I am going to be more intentional about my wardrobe, which we'll talk about more in another video. But for this video, I'm gonna make this pattern. Now, I don't know why. Look at this, look at the 2 patterns. This is view A and this is view B. Cropped, looks like the same sleeve. For whatever reason, view A requires more fabric than view B. I think because view A does have like a covered placket, which I'm okay with eliminating. So I want the length of view A, but essentially I guess I want to be sewing view B. And for this, I have this gorgeous charmeuse fabric that I also picked up at DFW Fabrics. Now this is how you make a charmeuse. This is so soft and it's so silky and it's just a liquid in your hands. This is beautiful. I got this off of their remnants rack. It's about 1.5 yards, and I think I paid like $8 for it all in total, which is an absolute steal. The only problem is that this is only 1.5 yards, and at best the pattern is saying that it calls for 1 7/8 of an inch. How do you say that? Whatever. It calls for 1 7/8 of a yard. I don't know. So technically speaking, I don't have enough. But what you and I know is that McCall's, the Big Four, they always overestimate in the amount of fabric that you need. So I'm hoping that this was one of those cases and that I can squeeze that out, especially since I'm just going to swap and I'm going to do view B, which is without the covered placket, but I'm going to do the length of view A. So that's already going to take off some of the fabric that I need for view B. So I'm hoping I'm not hoping, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna, at the end of the day, I'm gonna somehow get this shirt pattern out of this fabric. Now, one of the things with this that I definitely am going to attempt to address is the bust darts in Big 4 are never correct for me. They always sit too high. And with this one, I want to learn how to move the bust dart to the proper position. And then sew up the button down. So that's a challenge within a challenge for me, but I'm up for it and I'm okay with really taking my time and like getting into the pattern and getting it right, which is something that in the past I've tended to shy away from. So that's this one, this gorgeous charmeuse, and this pattern. Lastly is this sweater. I love this sweater. I wear this sweater on repeat. It is warm, it is cozy, it is probably the hero of my closet. I love this piece. I love the oversizedness of it. I love the way that it feels. It's just a really, really comfortable piece. Again, it's definitely one of my wardrobe heroes. Now, when I made this sweater, I actually made two. I made this one and then I made it out of a knit that had like a cable knit, like jacquard print on it almost. And that one is no longer in my wardrobe because for whatever reason, it just wasn't hanging right. So from that, I kind of learned and surmised that in order for this pattern to work for me personally, it needs to be a certain type of fabric, which is this fabric. Just so happens that Hobby Lobby has some more of this fabric in a different colorway, which is a color that I also really love. So let me show you. So Hobby Lobby had more of this fabric in this like mauve pink colorway. And I bought a lot of it. I think I got like 6 or 7 yards. I don't know why. I think because I love this one so much that I figured the more I had in my stash, the better. I don't know. But I've already actually made like a long duster jacket out of it, or like a duster. A duster is a duster. You know, it's not quite a jacket, but I made a long duster out of it, and I still have all of this left. So with the remainder of this, I'm going to sew another one of these sweaters because I know that I like the way that this sweater fits me with this material. So that is the last thing that I'm gonna make. This is probably the next thing that I'm gonna make because this is something that I need in my wardrobe like immediately. I am surprised that this sweater right now that I have on is holding up as well as it is with as much wear and tear I put on it, because I am always reaching for it. It will come out of the wash or come out of the dryer and go back on my body like almost immediately. Like it's being washed, it's being worn, it's being washed, it's being worn, and it's held up surprisingly well considering that I sewed the entire thing on the serger with the exception of hemming it. So that's pretty awesome. But I'm definitely gonna make another one out of this mauve pink fabric, and it's the same fabric, it's just a different colorway. And this is Simplicity 87, or is it? Yes, 8738. Okay, I have 2 wild cards for you. These are fabrics that I picked up impulsively, and I kind of think I know what I want to do with them, but if I don't get around to it, it's no love lost. So the first one is this textured knit. It has like a light sequencing through it, but it's like a plasticky sequence. It's not like that metal kind of sequence, and it's like bubbled, and it's really, really cute. It's not super thick, like it's still a bit translucent. I have 2 yards of it, and I would love to have a long puffy sleeve cardigan. I would think, like, my initial thought was make a long like puffy sleeve duster. The only problem is I don't know if this is enough for the duster pattern that I have right now that I like wearing. If it is, then I'll probably do that. But if not, then I want to modify my self-drafted cardigan pattern and just like lengthen the crap out of it and get like a long like midi length like duster cardigan out of this. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a wild card, but it's just the thought that if I get around to it, it'd be cool to do it before the cold season is up. Now, with the type of fabric that this is, if I don't get it done in winter, this would also be great for spring, because spring we still have a lot of very cool mornings, and this isn't a really thick knit, so it would still work. It'll work now or it'll work then. So no rush. The next thing, and I only got 1 yard of this because it's so funky, but it's so cool, is this pre-quilted like silver fabric, right? And I have a pattern that I made myself called the Juliet vest. I'll put up a picture of me wearing that vest, and I think this would be a perfect Juliet vest. I think I could actually get like 2 Juliet vests out of this. The thing with this is that it's not lined, so I would need some sort of lining to make the pattern, but I feel like that could work in my favor, because with the Juliet vest and the way that I've created the pattern, it requires like a full-on like binding around the neck, around the armholes, and around the lower portion. Whereas if I use this and I have to line it, I can just turn it out and it will eliminate a lot of that binding. So again, I'm thinking this would be a really cute Juliet vest, and it will also go with those like silver shoes that I just bought. I could wear over dresses, like over the dress that I want to refashion with the essence of Eve Inspo. I could wear over some dresses that already like exist in my wardrobe. So this is, again, it's a wild card. This would be a really simple make. So this is probably something I'll pick up and like do if I run into any road bumps with the more complicated projects that I want to try. It's just nice to have like an easy thing to do to kind of like eliminate some of the stress on my mind and give me like that will and that want to sew to create again. So these are on the sidelines. Not definite, but they're there. And that is all for my sewing plans for winter. Hopefully I get these projects done. I definitely shrank down the amount of projects, and I'm not giving myself like a week or a month. This is not what I want to sew this month. These are things that I want to have done before the winter season has concluded. Because I want to give more to my projects. I want to give more to myself and to my creativity. I feel like I've been barreling through the years and just barreling through projects, and I really am kind of ashamed to admit it, but the truth of the matter is that sometimes I'll create things just so that I have something to show you guys, and that's not fair to myself, that's not fair to my creativity, and that's not fair to you. At the end of this year, I really want to have a wardrobe that is cohesive. The name of this channel is The Curated Curvy, so we want to bring back in some of that curation and really work on creating a curated wardrobe of handmade pieces, not just a densely packed wardrobe of handmade pieces. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, stay beautiful, make great things, and Happy New Year. Bye.